Hello, my name is Brad Scott. I'm a marriage and family therapist and also a life coach. I've been practicing for 6 years now. Over the course of my career, I've noticed that there are some common themes that have come up. So I wanted to start posting some helpful videos on my page to potentially reach more people and to maybe be helpful in helping people in their journeys to be more impactful people and also maybe to start healing as well. So this will be the first of the videos, but hopefully there will be more to come. So let's do this. So one thing that I wanted to talk about today is the idea of an inner voice. So I've worked with so many clients, and one thing that they've expressed to me is that they have this inner voice that is they feel like is sometimes very sabotaging and can really steal joy. This inner voice that tells them that they're not capable of doing something or not worthy of being able to do something, that's always running in the background, and because of that is super distracting and can add years to attaining a goal, or can just be so distracting that they might give up on that goal. I feel like there are some skills that maybe everyone can practice. I definitely practice on yourself, so you can be almost your own therapist when that inner voice is coming up. One thing that could be helpful is to write down what that inner voice is saying to you, so you have it there in front of you and you can kind of see. It becomes like a tangible thing outside of yourself, because a lot of the times that inner voice is informed by outside sources, and so moving it physically outside of your body is something that can actually be very helpful in seeing what might be underlying all of that. Sometimes an inner voice can be things that parents have said about you that you've internalized, or things that teachers or people that were around you growing up, even friends, what society says about you, who you are as as a person. For me, it's a black male, and the expectations that I feel being a black male. Sometimes we can internalize those voices, and those people don't even have to be here anymore. So writing it down is a good way to get it outside of yourself. Secondly, being your own therapist. And what I mean by being your own therapist is, as a therapist and a coach, I often hear people expressing like that inner voice of doubt, or that inner voice of that is undermining their success. And I will notice that, and I will ask questions about that, and dig deeper about that. The questioning kind of starts with, whose voice is this? Who's informing this thought? Be inquisitive about this voice, this inner voice that you have. Ask questions. When people start telling me things like, I can't achieve this, or I can't do this, you take the inquisitive role as a therapist. Tell me more about that. Well, I've always wanted to be an actor, for instance. I've always wanted to complete that program. I've always wanted to start my own business. I don't have the skills to do this, or I can't accomplish these things. That's for them and not for me. I had my shot and it's passed me by. So that inner voice is telling you that you shouldn't go and follow your dream. You shouldn't go back to school. It can be a million different things. You shouldn't go to therapy and get help. You shouldn't ask for help. Your inner voice can say so many things to you, and I've seen it. I've worked with hundreds of people, and I've seen how tormenting an inner voice can be. The one thing that's really maddening about an inner voice is, if you're not careful, you can think that this inner voice is you, that this inner voice knows something about you that no one else does, that this inner voice is a fortune teller. Like, this inner voice can somehow tell your future, and often the future that this inner voice is telling you is not a helpful one, or not accurate. And so if you can kind of learn to, one, write these things down on paper, and then start to question these things, like, okay, so my inner voice is telling me that I'm not capable, I'm not worthy. Ask yourself, well, where have I heard this before? Because I don't believe that we as children start out with this inner voice telling us that we can't do things. Normally you see kids, prior to trauma and prior to people telling them they can't do things, and prior prior to doubters coming along and people teaching a kid who they're supposed to be in the world and what position they're supposed to take up. Prior to all that stuff, you see kids striving, jumping and going for it and doing these things. And over time, we allow other people's vision of ourselves to remove certain things, and that willingness to take the leap, and that willingness to believe in ourselves, and that willingness to be our own best friend, and we allow it to be replaced by doubt, by being timid and shy. It's imperative that we start to give back that voice that is saying that we are not able to do things to the people that gave it to us. And that might not be a physical, like, here you go, dad, or here you go, mom, or here you go, friend, or here you go, teacher, or here you go, whoever it is, stranger who said I would never do anything. It might not be a physical giving it away, but it's identifying who said this and giving it back to them, because that's not serving you. What the goal is to get to an underlying belief. It's important that you recognize it, and it's important that you start to dig at it. The voice is saying that I shouldn't book that room that I want to book so that I can train people like I really want to be training people. The voice is literally telling me not to book this room. What happens? So play it out. What happens if I don't book that room? I end up where I am now. Are you happy with where you're at now? No. So then book the room. So what you'll find once you question that inner voice, what you'll start to find is that if you keep digging at this inner voice that's telling you, you're not worthy of this, you're not worthy of that, what you'll find is it often isn't founded on anything at all. It's so flimsy, the things that we have started to believe about ourselves, and that inner voice has been hammering on all the things that we're insecure about. But what it actually rests on is so flimsy. So to sum this up, it's important to write down the idea first, get it out of your own body so you can see it on paper. 2, ask yourself, identify all the people that have said something like this to you, and identify that is theirs, not yours. Theirs, not yours. Give it back to them. Give it back to them. That's for them to deal with and grapple with. That is not something that you need to hold on to. And 3, start to dig at that inner voice and question that inner voice, and to get down to the underlying thought, the underlying feeling that you have underneath all of this. The voice might be telling you that you shouldn't follow whatever the dream is or ask for help, but what it might be resting on is a belief that you're not worthy of help, or worthy of love, or worthy of attaining the dream that you wanted. Getting to that underlying core belief is super important, because once you get to that, you can start to address it, start to realize that it's not true. It's blatantly not true that you don't deserve to be happy, or you don't deserve to achieve your goal. Knowing what it is you're fighting against is imperative in achieving all of the things you want to do, and in growing and thriving. If you need some help with this, or there's an inner voice in you that has been tormenting you for a while, or you believe something that has been given to you, by whoever, and you need something further than this video, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. This is what I do. I like what I do. Let me know if you need any suggestions on how to become a therapist to your own self. Yeah, and if you have any suggestions about videos that you would like to see from a therapist or a coach, also message me. I would love to get some suggestions on my next videos. I want to increasingly post more helpful videos that I've just kind of noticed in my practice. With that said, I appreciate you making it through this entire video. I was recently featured in Voyage LA an online publication. If you want to read about me, check it out. You can click on the link above. Until the next time.